Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reading Content Literacy, the class in which I will make the case that using reading and writing strategies in every content area will empower learning and make information more meaningful to you and your students. I'm your host, Dr. Turner. And this video is intended to introduce you to me, sort of my lair, so that it seems a little bit more personal to you. And it's also to outline a few of the things that I hope you know going in so that we have a common point of departure. So, welcome. I hope this class is fun for you. And I hope it is the kind of class that gives you some more stuff in your toolkit so that when you walk into that classroom, or even if you are teaching currently, that you end up with a few more things that you can use to help students become more connected and enthusiastic about whatever you teach. So a little bit about me. I started out as a high school drama teacher. And one of the frustrations I had as a high school drama teacher was that I had students in the school play who would get their scripts and they would dutifully memorize their scripts, and yet they'd be delivering memorized lines that they had apparently no connection to, like the themes or the characters or anything. And so it was sort of flat and boring. And so one of the things that fascinated me was, how do you get people to connect with text, to feel that, to empathize, to have it be meaningful? And so I went back to school and I got a second bachelor's in English. And then I taught middle school English for 12 years, which was hugely meaningful to me, and I loved it. Eventually, I went back to school for my master's and PhD because I was fascinated with the ways in which our stories help us come to understand things. And not just that, how personal stories function as discourse, how they tell us how we should live, how they function as healing mechanisms. And so I left the middle school because I needed a research and creative agenda. And I do both paradigmatic and narrative work, meaning that I write about how stories function in an intellectual academic way, and I also write personal stories. So I am somebody who loves literacy, who loves language, who loves reading, and I'm hoping I can pass off a little bit of that passion as we go through this class. One of the things I want you to know as we go into the class is that the course is set up in two halves. We'll start with reading and we'll end with writing. So first half of the class, you'll be learning about reading strategies you can use when you assign a text in your class. And now I think you might be thinking, well, I don't have to assign text in my class because we don't have a textbook. I might be an art teacher or I might be a PE teacher. But I would like to make the suggestion that you do use texts in your class and that you're very selective about what those texts are, that you don't always just flop out a textbook and say, well, we got chapter 1. So part of the thing we're going to be doing is talking about, if you do use a text, how do you use it in ways that are meaningful in your content area so that information is really, really powerful and personal. The second part of the class will be writing, how you can give writing prompts that matter so that writing isn't a punishment or it's not just a fill time, but you're actually having students write in strategic ways that help them imagine a concept or make something concrete or show what they know. So the reading section, you'll be reading Chris Tovani's book, Do I Really Have to Teach Reading? It's going to have some practical strategies. It's very readable. I'm thinking you're going to enjoy that book. And then the second half of the course, you're going to be using William Strong's Teaching Writing in the Content Areas, which is also highly readable and personable. You're going to notice that it crosses that divide between being sort of academic and personal at the same time. It's part of the reason why I think it's useful. You'll notice that we won't have time to cover every chapter in both of those books, so I cherry-picked really strategic ones for you, but I hope that they are useful to you beyond this class, that you can see uses for them as you go into your careers and lives as educators. So the two parts of the class, two texts. The other thing I want to talk to you about is professionalism. As part of the professional core, this class is where you really get to practice your professional selves. Use it as an opportunity to step on the other side of the desk imaginatively and think, well, you know what? How would this class feel if I was the teacher of this class? What would I value? What would I want to do? What would I want to see in this assignment? Use this class and every email, every discussion also as a way to practice your own literacy, honing your own voice, your own style, your own communications, whether it's digitally or I'd like to say in person, but this is all digital, even if it's written or if you do a video as I'm doing right now. So use it as a way to say to yourself, am I modeling what it means to be a literate person? Am I using things clearly? Am I writing with readers in mind? Think about that as you turn in things in this class. Also, you'll notice that I like to give detailed feedback that I hope is pragmatic and useful to you. Please know that I never give feedback if it's not intended to actually nudge you along, because that's what teaching is. It's not just giving you a gold star and a score. It's actually pushing you a little bit. So if you feel pushed a little bit by me, it's because I care about what you're doing. And I always want to move you ahead just a little bit. If you don't feel like you're getting enough feedback, if you'd like more from me, by all means, contact me and say, I'd like you to explain more about what you mean here. I'm always happy to do that. And I'm never sure which students like more feedback and which students like less feedback. And if you're a person who likes more feedback, let me know. I'll shoot you your own personal video if you want to hear me talk about what I'm thinking about your work. Happy to do it. So keep in contact about feedback. And if anything feels wrong to you, if you feel like I've been overly harsh, by all means ask me or talk to me about that. I'm always happy, always here for you. Something else I want you to be aware of is that I'm a writer. And so what you're going to see, for better or worse, read the modules. I've written them on purpose to give you a context for everything you're doing. So you're going to see lots of text when you open those modules. I've done that on purpose so that you don't have to try to figure out what the connection between video A, B, and C is. I believe in context, I believe in narrative, and I believe in telling you how those things work together in that module. So please read those. Also, you'll notice that within the text of my modules, I have hyperlinks. So make sure if you're ever not sure about what something should look like, I provide models and videos, but you have to read the text. Why? Because this is a reading class and it's super good practice to be a good reader. One last note for secondary ed folks and L-Ed folks, as this is a secondary ed class, if you're elementary ed or SPED, you may be wondering, well, how do I pick a content area or how do I do a secondary literacy lesson? Well, I'm happy to work with you on that. What I would say to do is pick a topic or a content area that's fascinating to you and then do the youngest grade possible if you're elementary ed. So like pick a 6th grade lesson. But what I will ask you to do is do a secondary lesson, as this is a secondary ed class. So if that makes you feel a little trepidation, keep in touch with me and we'll brainstorm ways in which to make it as useful as we can for you. And in the end, usefulness is what it's all about. I've purposely designed this class so that you will leave with things you can really use. Don't be shy about keeping in touch. I look forward to working with you this term.